Hi everybody, this is the Website Boy again with an incredible series. And today we're starting a series on tutorial requests. So if you have a request, you need to make them to me right now. I'm going to show you in a minute how to do that. But first, we're going to answer a request from this great subscriber called Someone. Yeah. His name is Someone. But anyways, I don't mind that he didn't want to give me his name. We're going to be making a tutorial for him about video positioning, actually positioning HTML on a web page. All right. So this tutorial is about positioning HTML on a web page. It's going to be a great tutorial for those of you that want to learn how to do that. Now, for those of you that have a specific request, no problem. Go make them on my website, the websiteboy.com tutorial request. Once you make the request there, I will look at it and then I will make a video about that specific thing that you want to learn. All right. Make sure it's about web development and software development. So for those of you out there that want to be notified when you make a request, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. YouTube will send you an email automatically every time I upload one of my videos. All right. So remember that. For those of you out there that see this thumbs up right there, click it if you are watching one of my videos. I really appreciate it if you click it. If you like my videos, of course, I'm not gonna make you click it if you don't. All right. So make sure you remember that. All right. For those of you out there that like my video, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I make these tutorials with a lot of love for you, and you might be wondering, how can the website boy love me? Well, I love people that love my work. So if you love my work, I love you, and you guys are awesome. Thank you so much, and let's go ahead and make that tutorial for positioning HTML on a web page. All right, so today I'm starting a new series of actually video requests. So if you have a request, make them and I'll make the video. So today we are answering a request from somebody named Someone, and what video is video on positioning HTML, and how do I position stuff on a web page. All right, so I'm going to answer that question with this video tutorial. And if you have any requests, please make them. All right, so I just want to help out for those of you out there that need help. So all right, so let's start. So I'm going to open up a folder called video requests. I'm going to open up my co-editor. You need a co-editor for this unless you have one already. And I'm going to make a file here. I'm going to call it, it's going to be in my desktop because that's where I'm going to be putting that, and it's going to be calling position and HTML. All right, make sure it has an extension called HTML. Save it. I'm going to put my regular HTML tags in there. Right, it's always good to make a blank .html file, right, like I always do on all my tutorials. And once from here, let's create a div. I'm not gonna even give it ID or anything like that because I want to show you from the start how this is done. I'm gonna make a paragraph. I'm gonna put some text in there, so so we have something. All right, I'm gonna open this up in a browser, double click it, and it's opening in another browser. Huge because I have another monitor. All right, so let's say we have this stuff, right? Because this is what we have here. Let's say we have this element on this web page, right? And we want to move it, we want to position it somewhere, right? I'm going to show you a couple ways of doing it. First thing that we got to do is that if you right click on it, I'm using Chrome, by the way. I suggest you use it. It's a very good browser. I think it's one of the best, actually the best right now, in my opinion. So if you right click on it and do inspect element, you're gonna see the source, right? And if you hover over that div, you see that that div takes all this space. You won't be able to move it to the right or to the left because it takes the whole screen, right? So you can move it from the top to the from here to the bottom, right? So I want to change that. I want to actually give it a width. So the way we position things with HTML is using CSS. All right. So I'm going to use a little CSS, and then I'm going to give you a place where you can go and grab the rest of the property and learn them. But the best way to learn CSS is actually using inspect element. All right. So you can come here. Let me just show you exactly what that is, and say go to Google and say CSS properties, and then go to the W3 schools, and then here you're gonna see all the properties there, right? You gotta play around to know which one is which, but I'm gonna give you a brief introduction, and that's gonna help you out, find out what they all this means, all right? If you don't know that. So let's use some of this. Let's just minimize this. We don't need that right here. So we got inspect element open right now, and I want to make this element width shorter than what it is, right? So let's make it 500 pixels, and that made it shorter. You can see that blue line right here, the blue square. That's 500 pixels. You can see the yellow pixels there, the yellow bots. And then once I make it that, what I want to do is I want to move it to the right. And how do I do that? I use something called margin, the property margin left, because I want to push it from the left to the right. And then I want to set it up to like maybe 10 pixels. And if you can see that, it moved it a little bit. Then if I put my arrow key, if I put my cursor here, put and push, you know, type my arrow key up, you can see that I can move it to whatever position I want to the right. I can also do margin right, margin right, or margin. Let me double click on this. This is giving me a problem. All right, tab. Click tab if you have the same problem. Margin top is another one. You can push it from the top down 100 pixels right here, and you can see I put my arrow key up, down, the up arrow key, and it brings it down. Right. You can also minimize this a little bit, so you can move it to whatever you want, right? So that's one way of moving it. You can also put a background on it. So type background. And the good thing about inspect element is that when you start typing, it fills all this for you. You see, it gives you a whole bunch of options here for background. And here, without, if you type the B, it tells you what you can put in there. So we're just gonna put a background color, and we're gonna make it, I don't know, gray. There we go. And I know it's ugly. And then if you put just the property color, that's just gonna color any text that's in there. All right. And I'm going to color it white. And we'll put some padding, which means that you're gonna fill it up inside. You're gonna fill up the content. You're gonna see what it does. And then it just puts, you see that green around it, that's the padding, all right, around the bots. Now let's say you want to position this right in the middle of the page. All right, I'll show you how to do that right now. And remember, CSS is a it's the style cascading sheets. All right, what CSS does is that it gives priority to the property that's in all the way in the bottom. So if I say margin left now, it's gonna override the one on top. All right, so make sure that you know that. You see, look at that. It's overriding the one on top, and I already have one here. So just letting you know that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to override both of this. I'm just going to take them off from here, and I'm going to put this right in the center of the page, because I want to show you how to position this right in the center. So the way we do that is we say margin, right? And then I'm going to say, if you put two values here, you can put four values in margin. You can do the top margin dash left, one value at a time, or the top, the bottom, whatever. But you can also put numbers in here. You can put all of them in one property like this. So you can say margin top 10 pixels, margin right 10 pixels, margin bottom 10 pixels, and margin left 10 pixels. And I can say, let's do the left a little more that way. All right, you can do that. And this goes clockwise. So from the top to the right, to the bottom, to the left. All right, but you can also put two properties, and the first property that you can also put two values. So the first value is 0, we mean top and bottom. The second value we mean left and right. So I want the right to be auto, and that's gonna center this div right here. And I want this to go down, so I'm gonna put margin top 10%. You can also use percentages, pixels or percentages. And pixels is just the little dots on the screen, just for those of you that don't know. You don't see it, but they're there. Right? Now there's another way of actually positioning this. Now, let's say you're ready and you want this code, you want to use this code. All you have to do is select all this right here and go back to your editor. Let's say if I have it somewhere here. There we go. Just right here. All right. Now, how do you put the CSS in here? All right. There's a couple ways of doing it. Actually, it's like I think it's like three ways. You can put a style tag below uh before this head tag, right? On the head, styled with the beginning and the end. And here then you put your CSS. You paste it and you got all this gibberish stuff here. Now, the reason why this is actually doing this is because we have a mess here. We need the to actually style this properly, right? So let's say let's the way you target these divs here is if you put div and then you open and close parentheses, and then you target all the divs inside your HTML document. But watch it, be careful with this because you're going to target everything that has a div in there. All right, so that's how you do that. So I'm going to show you a way to just target that specific div. So refresh, and that does not work there. And I'm gonna find out exactly why. And the reason is because we have this mess right here. All right, so we fix that, come back here and refresh, and now we're good to go. All right, so now that margin auto is not applying for some reason or the other, and I'm gonna find out right now. So let's go inspect element on it. Actually, it is applying. It's just the browser is too big. There we go. It's in the middle. Oops. All right. So that's one way of positioning it, and that's one way of adding CSS. All right. So we can take this off. This is all commented out. Now, this is not the best way of applying CSS, to be honest with you. If you want to target a specific element, you need to give it an ID or a class. IDs are for if you want to use one ID in the whole entire document. If you want to use more than one different selectors, then you use a class, and then you can use a class in many different elements. So for example, you put an ID and you want to say bots1, right? This is the div that's called bots1. You put a comment here, call it bots1. All right, so you got this element called bots1. Now if I go back here and refresh, it's still working because it's targeting all the divs right here. All right, but I'm gonna make another div and I'm gonna call this bots2. All right, so I'm going to change this div right here, the name of that, because this is what's targeting everything, or the HTML elements that are called div. I want to target this specific ID right here. And the way you target that is with a pound sign or hash and then the name, bots1. Refresh here. And now you can see that I'm only targeting this div right here, bots1. The other div is not really doing anything. It has no styles at all. All right, so this is how we target one. Now classes are for many different elements. If you are using, you can use a class too, it will do the same, but usually best practices is that you use class for many, when you have many elements that are going to require the same styling. All right, so you can use the class and take the pound sign and put the dot and refresh, and you see you're still doing the same thing. It's just best practice. You can use an ID if you want all the time. All right, so you want to target the other div. Just make a copy of this one, rename it to bots2, and you're gonna make it an ID because I didn't put a class there. And I'm gonna change the background color to something else, so that way you can know that is a different one. Refresh, and as you can see, we are targeting two different elements there. The other way of actually targeting moving stuff in HTML is if you do right click on it and do inspect element, right? And I'm gonna turn all this off for that for that first div. Actually, I'm gonna leave this on in the background and then turn everything else off. Now you see that I have no positions there on this specific div, right? I'm going to actually position this. I'm gonna put a property called position. I'm gonna name it absolute. That means that I can move this div on top of any div. Right now, this div hits this one right here. It cannot be in the same line because it's a position relative. So this div cannot be on the same line as this. But if I position this absolute, it doesn't matter. This div would go over any other element on the screen. So I can use position element to put things over other elements. And I can just say, once I do position absolute, I can say left. This is how we move them, 20 pixels, and you can see, I wish my screen, let's just make my screen a little smaller so that way you can see. You can see that if I put my arrow key up and then I can move that position there. Look at that. You see that? You see this div moving? And I can do 500, 600. Try to make it closer to that one. And I can even go over it. Let's say 1,000, 1,200 to see if it goes over it. You see that? So I can even go over other divs. And you can also move it from the top to the bottom. And you can say 200 pixels and top. You see that? It's pushing it from the top. You can also put it right here on the top. So 0 pixels, that makes it right on top. And if you put 0 pixels on top, you can also do left 0 pixel, and that will put it all the way in the corner also. All right. So I hope this was able to help those of you out there that want to learn how to position things via HTML. And I hope you like the tutorial for those newbies out there that are just learning how to code. And I'm going to keep answering more requests. So all you have to do is go to my website, the website boy, and go to a specific page that I got for that. And this page is called tutorial requests. You click there and you can just put your name there, don't be shy. You can put your email address if you want to be notified. And you can also put the tutorial and any comments that you might have, or just answer, or you can just check your email if you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, and that's going to let you know when your request is answered. You can also give me some feedback. I would appreciate that very much, so that way I can get better and better every single day. So don't forget to keep growing, don't forget to keep learning. Feed your intellectual and your spirit, feed your soul. Okay, spend time with your family, learn, learn, learn. Anyway, the website boys out. Share the video, put it on Facebook, Twitter. Help me out. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.